Good morning, class. Let's go ahead and get into this lecture for today. So, as always, you will find it uploaded under week 1 as a continuation. It'll be added under course introduction video part 2. So, keep an eye out for that. But let's go ahead and get into what we're going to be talking about. So, as a brief overview, we're going to be discussing um, APA cover page formatting, and we'll even go into an example and show you how to access that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this from the beginning. So the APA cover page is also going to be quizzed for next week, so there will be an assignment due on Friday of next week, week 2, where I'll go ahead and post a quiz online, and you'll be required to respond to that one by Friday. Okay, so make sure you pay attention, you take notes. This PowerPoint, as well as the additional cover page resources, will be posted there as well again in week 2, so that way you can make sure you have everything at hand. Okay, so when you are first formatting your paper, you're going to open up a Word document, and then you're going to click on the Insert button, right, which I've highlighted here. You'll see there's a tab for it. So you're going to click Insert when you start your new page, because what needs to be included at the top of your cover page is going to be a running header with a page number. So in order to get that done, you're going to have to click Insert, follow that by clicking on the Page Number tab, choose or highlight the option that says Top of Page, and then choose plain number 3, or the option that has the number on the right hand margin. Okay, so that is going to be important for setting that up and organizing your cover page. Once you have that, though, it'll open up another header and footer box, and you need to make sure that you are check marking different first page. Now this is going to erase what you have there already, because it's going to require that you manually input the first page, because the following pages are going to be different, right? The second, third, fourth, however many pages you end up writing, they all have to have a different header and page number, right? So again, once you're in the header and footer tab, you're going to want to make sure you check mark the box that says different first page, and then you're going to insert that information. Again, I'll walk you through it. I'll show you how to do it with a Word document, and then we'll go ahead and build a cover page as we go through it. Okay, so once you have that included, and you're in the main body of the essay, right, you're out of the header, you close the header and footer tab, so that way you're back on the home tab. You want to make sure that you change the font and spacing. Every essay that you turn in is going to be required to be at 12 point Times New Roman font, and the spacing is going to have to be 2.0 or double spacing, whichever option it offers you. And you see how I've highlighted underneath that a little area that says remove space after paragraph. You're always going to want to click that. The reason for it is because when you start a new page, it's always going to include an additional space whenever you hit the enter bar. So every time you hit enter, it's going to double space. However, if you're already double spaced and then you hit enter, that's going to make it a triple space between paragraphs or between lines, or whenever you hit the enter button, right? So make sure you remove that space after paragraph, so that way everything is a uniform double space as we get into it. Okay, so now once we have that set up, it's time to start entering our information for the cover page. You'll see I've marked out 4 entries. That means it's 4 spaces from the top of the page. So all I've done is hit enter 4 times, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one is where you will start your title of your work, right? So make sure that the title of your work is centered and it's in bold font, right? So that way it stands out. Also, when you are creating your title, try to be imaginative or creative with your title. Don't just title it a diagnostic essay. I know it's a diagnostic essay. I am the one who was assigning the work. So for that reason, I would like for it to be a little bit of a summary, or at least touch on some key points of what you're going to be discussing in your essay. And again, we'll take a look at maybe coming up with some ideas, brainstorming it. After that, I went ahead and put another little box to show that I've entered twice. So after the title, I hit enter once, but not beginning there. I hit enter again, so that way I can get to where it says student's name. This is going to be your name, right? You're going to put your own name as the author of the work or as a student. In this case, you're going to put your name there. Once you have your name, you're going to enter again. You're going to put Department of Communication, comma, El Paso Community College, because it's going to require the the department and college that you are writing for. This will change, of course, when you get to a different university or if you transfer to another college. You're going to have to know what department you're writing under and the name of that school. Hopefully you have that information. But for the time being, since you are El Paso Community College students, all you have to include there under your name is going to be the Department of Communication and El Paso Community College. After you hit, you're done with that, hit enter again, so that way you can get to the English 1301 composition. This is the course information, right? So you need to go ahead and provide the course information. You can include the hyphen addition, right? So it's English 1301 hyphen A9 is technically the full name of this course, but you can just go ahead and leave it as English 1301 if you just want to keep it a little bit more simple. However, what comes after the comma is the name of the class, and since it's composition 1, that's what we'll call it. We'll put composition 1 after the course 1301, right? So English 1301 colon the 2 dots composition 1. Make sure that you are including this, the colon, because it signifies a change from the title to a proper name. Once you have that, you're going to put your instructor's name. That will be my name, right? And I've put it there. It's Ricardo Tinajero, not Tinajera, not Trujillo, anything like that. Just go ahead and make sure you include my name there where it says instructor's name. After that, you're going to put the due date of the assignment or the diagnostic, right? Which is going to be August 24th, 2022. And so I've given you that heads up for that. And then you're going to enter down till you're a little bit past the halfway mark. I know it looks like it's at the bottom of the page, but that's only because of the way I've cropped this photo. I'll show you in a full example what it should look like in a page that's centered. Okay. But if we were to consider where this all lines up, the instructor name and date should be in the center of the page, right? That's what should be centered. Everything else will be up or above. If you have multiple lines for your title, then of course you're going to have to adjust. And where I've entered 4 times at the bottom, if you choose not to include an author note, then you might want to center it a little bit more down. And so you would actually then enter, instead of 4 times at the top, you would enter as many as 6 times from the top. So just keep that in mind. You want your information to be as centered as possible, right? If you consider both of these parts as having weight, the top is weighted in the title, the name, and the department, but the author's note adds a little bit of counterweight, right? So that makes the centering a little bit more towards the date and the instructor's name. Where if you have no author's note, then you're going to be a little bit top heavy, right? So that means that you're going to have to push this down so that the centering point is more around the student's name or the department and college name. So please do keep that in mind. Again, I'll show you as we put one together a little bit later on by the end of this slide. But now let's go ahead and start talking about what the diagnosis essay should be discussing. I have outlined or pointed out 3 major criteria that we should be talking about. And so your diagnostic essay should be covering your educational experience or background up to this point, right? And so some of the things you might consider discussing is what schools have you gone to? What were those schools like? You might also choose to discuss what events stand out to you in elementary, middle school, or high school as good or bad, or any major achievements or accolades you've achieved while in those schools, or in the homeschooling process, right? Because Some of you may have gone through the homeschooling process, but they still require certain testings and things like that. So how did you do? Anything that stands out as a big success, or maybe unfortunately a catastrophic failure? Um, Feel free to discuss those things in the diagnostic essay. The second criteria that you should be discussing are, what are your plans to succeed in college now, right? You are in freshman English, composition one, whatever you want to call it. What are your plans to make sure that you do well, not only in this class, but in all your classes and succeed in college? Do you plan on networking, right? Does that mean, are you planning on getting to know people of your same uh, major? And that way, when you graduate and you get to know, excuse me, do you plan on networking? Does that mean that means, do you plan on getting to know other people in your major area and keeping in touch with them, so that way as you proceed or graduate from college, you have several people within your field that can also provide opportunities for work, or um, just as friendship continuing on. Next, you might also want to consider, what are your interests while at college, right? Are you interested in joining a group or organization? There are organizations that can help you, or at least provide some enrichment for your college experience. And I mean, they're all going to be free to join within the college, and sometimes you can even get credits or extra credit, depending on if you go through the service learning program, etc. If you have any questions about that, the service learning and how it works, I do offer extra credit for those that attend in group meetings for certain organizations. So if you are interested in that, please do let me know, and I will refer you to service learning and what groups you can volunteer with there. Also, while here at college, what is your GPA expectation, right? Do you plan on graduating with a 4.0? Do you believe that perhaps graduation is enough for you? The saying is, C's get degrees, but is a C average good enough for you, or do you plan on succeeding with honors and graduating at a high standing? You can discuss any one of those things as part of part two. For part three, I want you to talk about or think about specifically what's going to happen once you graduate or you move on from EPCC. Do you have a potential career lined up? Is there something that you are interested in doing with an associate's degree? Or do you plan on furthering your education? Do you want to transfer to a four-year college, graduate there? Or do you just want to even continue on and get your master's or PhD? You know, there's some potential doctors, they're rich, what are called nurse practitioners that also have to go to 7-year degrees of higher education. So what is yours? Do you plan on pursuing a higher education? If not, if you're still unsure, what are some options that you might have but you haven't committed to yet? So those things are the final and third points you can discuss as far as what your diagnostic essay criteria or what you want to cover in the diagnostic essay. However, when we're talking about length of the essay, you're only going to be required to have a minimum of 2 pages. Those 2 pages are going to include your cover page on its own as a standalone first page, and the second page can be your diagnostic essay. Again, however long you want it to be, these 3 points I offer are should be discussed, but how you go about discussing them and to what length is going to be your prerogative. That means it's going to be up to you how long you want to make it. I just want to get a gauge or an idea of where you are in your essay writing understanding and knowledge, and so that way when I provide feedback, I can go ahead and give you as much in-depth feedback, especially in those areas where you might have a little bit of weakness or inadequacies in. Okay, so again, this diagnostic essay isn't going to be too tough. It's really a matter of what you're comfortable and how long you're comfortable with writing it. The only thing is you do have to have a cover page that will be graded a little bit more harshly, and the diagnostic essay is up to you how much and for how long you want to write. But again, a minimum of 1 page for your cover and 1 page for the diagnostic. If you choose to go over, make the diagnostic 3 to 4 pages. If you are willing to write it, I'm more than willing to read it and grade it and offer um, feedback. So even if you choose to turn in just one paragraph, um, as long as you touch on these 3 points, I'll still accept it. However, I also want to point out that the more you provide, as far as in-depth and detail, the more in-depth and detail I can provide in feedback and direction with your essays, right? So if you just want to get it done and just throw in a quick block of text, I'm not going to be able to give you as much feedback because you're going to be, there's not as much work to evaluate, right? So please do give it your earnest or your best effort to try and complete as much of a whole essay as possible, and then we'll go ahead and be able to give you a more full feedback when we do get you that paper back. Okay, so that's pretty much the diagnostic essay criteria. Now we're gonna get into practicing and setting up a cover page. All right. Okay, class, so you'll see here that I have the completed cover page, but let's go ahead and enter it from the beginning, right? So we're going to remove all of this. Oops, sorry. Go ahead and remove all of these things, and then get to the creation of this. So I can get rid of all this. Okay. So say you have your first page here, your blank page, right? All right, so again, the first thing you're going to want to do is change this to Times New Roman if it's not already defaulted to it. So you're going to go Times New Roman. Select 12-point font. It's defaulted at 11, so you always want to make sure you go up to 12-point font. Then I like to make sure I'm highlighting everything with the Control A button, and then I go to 2-point spacing, and again the default is going to be remove space after paragraph, so we're going to click that to make sure that we're in a uniform double space. Okay. So now let's get into creating the header. Again, you want to insert, go to where it says page number, top of the page, choose plain number 3 on the right hand side, and then you're going to insert oh sorry, before we get there, always remember to click different first page. It's going to remove your number, but that's fine. It will continue on the next pages. We just need to enter the first page information. So you're going to, in all caps, type running head. That's going to be the header. Then you can remove your caps, but you're going to make sure to capitalize every proper noun or verb of the title, and you're not going to capitalize things like conjunctions or adjectives, right? I'm sorry, I should say adjuncts. Or, yeah. So, anyways, for this time, we'll call it title head. Well, actually, let's call it imaginative title a excursion into the unknown, right? Right. So again, whatever title you decide to go come up with is going to be yours. The only time an article like a, an, or the, or conjunction slash preposition, that's what I had meant to say in the first time, are going to be capitalized is if they follow a colon, the 2 dots, right? And the 2 dots are just to kind of give emphasis of the main title and then to a more niche or detailed title. So that's why this A is capitalized. If that A was anywhere in here, it wouldn't be capitalized. But then you're going to want to include the page number. You can use the tab button on your keyboard to move to the end, and then you're just going to enter the number 1. Now that's done. That's the running header. You'll see it's done, it's completed. You'll be fine there. But remember, you have to enter 4 spaces to start getting to your actual title of the essay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we're there, we can center, and we're going to type our title in bold. So make sure you click the B button to bold, and it's going to be here again. Right, and so there we go. We have that. You're going to hit enter twice because we do not have anything immediately under, and you're going to get rid of your bold. Now this is where you're going to put your name, so we can call it the student's name. We'll just make one up, Sydney Jones. Then you're going to put the college information, right? So it's going to be Department of Communication, and then you're going to put the college, El Paso Community College. So there you go. You have the Department of Communication, El Paso Community College, and now you put the course information. So this is going to be English 1301, comma, and then you're going to put the title of the course, which is Composition 1. I'm sorry, or you can just do the Roman numeral because that is how it's designated within the title. After that, you're going to then go ahead and put your professor's name. So that'll be my name, right? So it'll be Ricardo Tinajero. And then you're going to put the due date. Again, we had discussed this, so this will be August 26th, correct? I think is when I said. Yeah, 26th, that's tomorrow. Sorry, just 26, comma, and then the year, 2022. So I'm not sure why that comma is super small. There we go. And then optionally, if you wanted to include an author's note, you would again enter about 4 times. Make sure that that note is bold, right? So it says author note. Remove the bold, hit enter, and then you're going to give a brief summary, right, into what it is. Some keywords that are going to be discussed, right? So toxic masculinity, behavior, and responses in the classroom. So, right. And this author's note is really more for when the work is published, because it gives a kind of brief synopsis or some key words that can be looked up or that can be hit upon if somebody else is looking for maybe something like that. So for your diagnostic, you don't necessarily need one. And if you want to omit this author's note, then again, you're more than welcome to. It's not a requirement, but I like to have one. So if I was writing it, I would go ahead and include it. Now let's look at where this lines up on the page. Right, sorry, let's go back to single view. We'll discuss the introduction and stuff later, but for now you'll notice that it is about centered on the page. If we were to take a look at the top of the page and the bottom, the part that I want to make sure is centered is going to be the instructor's name and date, and that's exactly where it is. So we have successfully centered our cover page, and everything is provided in detail as we want. So that's it. That's where you would get to. Afterwards, you can hit enter, and then you're going to do what's called insert page break. So that way you can start at the top of the next page immediately, and then you can start writing your diagnostic essay there. And so remember, the things you're going to want to write about, we had covered, are going to be your education experience up to this point, right? Anything that may have stood out for you as far as achievements or negative experiences with teachers in elementary, middle school, or high school. Then you're going to want to talk about what are your plans while here at college, and go ahead and discuss if you plan on making friends, getting to know others in your field of study, and or joining any organizations and groups within the college to help enrich your experience It also helps with the networking, of course. If you're in a group of people that are either all science majors, or whatever your field of study is going to be, it helps to join those organizations, because then you really get to know people that are going to be in that field. Um, and the last thing I want you to think about is, what are your plans for when you graduate, or you leave El Paso Community College, right? Do you plan to go on, uh, continue your education, a master's, PhD, a doctorate, whatever it's going to be? Is that your plans? And then I want you to think about, um, how do you get there from here? How do you um, get to that future, that attainable future? Um, what are some of the things that need to be completed on your end to reach that goal? Or are you just going to go straight into employment? Do you have a job in mind, either lined up, like, for example, do you know, excuse me, of the position that you want to take? Is it already available and waiting for you? Or perhaps there's something that you want to do in that field once you have your associates and you already want to start, right? One can become an accountant with an associate's in accounting alone. So is that something you want to do? Just get straight into the workforce. If that's fine, if that's your plan, then feel free to discuss it. But you should cover those topics: education experience up to this point, plans while in college, and the last is going to be, what are your plans for after community college? Okay. So again, however you design the rest of that body paragraph, however the length of that rest of that essay is determined by your choices and what you want to make. Nothing's going to be incorrect as far as that diagnostic essay is concerned, as long as you give your best effort, and that way I can provide as much feedback as possible to you. Okay, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this audio recording for this week. If you have any questions, please feel free to email, message me on Blackboard, or send me a text message, as is on the syllabus. Okay, thank you, class. Good luck, and hopefully I'll get these graded soon.